If this message reached you today, understand one truth. Heaven interrupted your path because a divine sign has been unfolding around you, and you have been walking past it without seeing what it truly means. You were not warned about this sign because no one around you had the spiritual sensitivity to discern what was happening. Yet I, the Lord your God, have been positioning every detail to awaken you before something that was rising against your peace, your identity, and your destiny gained strength. You are standing at a decisive moment for your soul, and ignoring this sign would only deepen the void you have been feeling. I exist, therefore you exist, and because you exist, you now perceive the emptiness that has been echoing inside you. That emptiness is not weakness, it is the alarm of heaven demanding your attention. You have wondered why your heart has been restless, why certain doors remained closed, why some people were removed from your path, and why the weight inside you has been growing even when nothing visibly changed. These were not coincidences, they were movements of the spiritual realm pressing into your reality. You sensed something shifting, but you could not define what it was. That confusion was the first stage of the sign. It was the moment where the void became undeniable and pushed you to confront what you tried to avoid. I allowed you to feel the weight so you would recognize the fall. Not to shame you, but to break the illusion that you could continue without my voice guiding you. Now I speak directly to you, because the time of silence is over. You are not listening to this by chance. You were drawn here because your spirit has been crying for help, even when your mouth stayed quiet. The sign you ignored is the sign revealing that you cannot outrun my calling, that you cannot hide from your healing, and that you cannot avoid the truth about what has been attacking your peace. I'm exposing every hidden intention, every disguised threat, every emotional wound you buried so deeply that you stopped believing it mattered. It matters to me because you matter to me. Receive this moment as your turning point. What is happening now is not punishment. It is grace reaching you before the enemy reaches what is fragile inside you. This sign is the evidence that I never abandoned you. It is the confirmation that I am still fighting for you, still protecting you, still calling you back to where your soul can finally rest. Let this message anchor you, shake you, and align you. Your restoration begins the moment you decide to see the disturbance that was never coincidence. You have been sensing something unsettling, a disturbance that kept returning no matter how hard you tried to ignore it. You convinced yourself it was stress or exhaustion, yet the uneasiness always found a way back into your thoughts. That disturbance was not random. It was the first divine alert I placed before you, a sign that the spiritual realm was shifting around you. I speak to you now because you must understand that the weight pressing on your heart was not meant to destroy you, but to awaken you. For too long you tried to explain away what your spirit already knew. Every sudden discomfort, every repeated disappointment, every conversation that left you drained was part of a warning your soul recognized long before your mind accepted it. You believed some situations were failures, but I tell you they were barriers erected by my own hands. I blocked what you thought you wanted because it was leading you toward harm you could not yet see. I allowed certain people to show their true intentions because the illusion you held onto was blinding you from the truth. I let plans collapse because if they had succeeded, you would have walked directly into a trap designed to fracture your identity even further. You called it rejection, but I called it protection. You named it bad timing, but I named it deliverance. Hear me clearly. Nothing that happened was accidental. Every detail had purpose. There is a reason your peace was disturbed. You were walking towards something that did not come from me, and I refused to let you be claimed by what would break you. When your spirit trembled without explanation, it was because I was pulling back the veil, exposing the spiritual tension pressing against you. Psalm 91 speaks of my protection, yet protection requires awareness. If I did not shake you, You would have continued in the same cycle, repeating decisions that wounded you before. I shook you so your eyes would open. I stirred your heart so your discernment would sharpen. I interrupted your plans because the danger hidden within them was greater than you realized. This is the truth no one told you. The disturbance was not a burden, it was a shield. Every delay was a barrier between you and a spiritual attack designed to steal what I am building within you. I'm revealing this so you stop interpreting my protection as punishment. You are not being pushed away from blessings. You are being redirected toward the path that preserves your purpose and strengthens your identity in Christ. My warning was not a threat, but a rescue. Now you must decide whether you will continue ignoring the signs or allow this revelation to change the course of your life. What you choose next determines the healing that unfolds. What you embrace now determines the restoration waiting ahead. Listen to me, son. Listen to me, daughter. The disturbance was never coincidence. It was me saving you, the silent battle you never saw. There were nights when you lay awake without knowing why, your chest heavy, your mind unsettled, your soul restless. You blamed exhaustion, pressure, or your own thoughts. But what you felt was not born from your natural world. It was the echo of a silent battle being fought over your life. The Lord your God shielded you from the full intensity of this conflict because it would have crushed you. But I allowed you to sense enough to understand that something greater than your emotions was moving around you. The weight you carried was not yours. It was the vibration of spiritual warfare unfolding in territories you cannot see. Heaven was standing between you and an attack meant to tear open old wounds and resurrect what I already healed. You questioned why moments of sudden fear or sadness rose without cause. These emotional waves were not weaknesses. They were signals. They were the tremors of resistance from forces that knew you were approaching clarity, strength, and restoration. When a son or daughter begins stepping toward truth, darkness grows desperate. That desperation was the tension you felt. Angels stood guard while you slept because the enemy sought to steal your peace in the hours when your mind was vulnerable. I assigned heavenly hosts to surround you when discouragement tried to drown you. Every interruption, every unexpected thought, every moment where your spirit felt pressed was evidence that the battle was real. You must understand this with seriousness. What opposed you was not a simple obstacle. It was an orchestrated attempt to push you back into the places I delivered you from. The enemy knows he cannot possess a heart surrendered to me, yet he tries to disturb it. He cannot undo my promises, but he attempts to distract you from them. He cannot cancel your calling, but he tries to convince you that you are unworthy of it. That whisper of inadequacy you carried did not come from me. The fear of the future did not come from me. The confusion that clouded your decisions did not come from me. These were strategies designed to exhaust you emotionally so you would abandon what I am rebuilding within you. Hear me. You survived attacks you never even recognized. You walked through days that would have destroyed others because I placed my hand over your life. The blood of Jesus covered you when hidden intentions tried to rise against you. Archangel Michael and the hosts of heaven stood in formation when darkness attempted to enter your home, your thoughts, your relationships, your plans. What you interpreted as heaviness was actually victory unfolding in silence. You were protected in ways you may never fully comprehend. Now I reveal this not to frighten you, but to open your eyes. You are not weak. You are not unstable. You are not losing control. You were being defended. You were being secured. You were being upheld by my power. And now that the battle has been exposed, you can finally walk with discernment instead of fear, with authority instead of confusion, and with confidence instead of despair. The silent war was real, but so was my protection. You were never alone. The door that closed to save your life. There is a reason certain doors shut so abruptly that you felt abandoned, confused, or even punished. You believed you were losing something valuable, But I tell you with authority, you were being rescued. You cried out, asking why the opportunity slipped through your hands, why the relationship crumbled, why your plans dissolved when you had invested so much hope into them. Yet I, the Lord your God, knew what you could not see. That door did not close because you were unworthy. It closed because what stood behind it would have wounded you in ways you were not prepared to endure. What you called loss was actually mercy. What you called failure was my shield. I removed what you were begging to keep because it was draining your strength, weakening your identity, and redirecting your heart away from me. There were conversations that turned cold, people who suddenly became distant, promises that dissolved without warning. You saw it as rejection. I saw it as divine intervention. That connection you fought to preserve carried intentions that did not align with your purpose. That plan you desperately wanted would have pulled you into cycles that hardened your heart. That path you insisted on walking was constructed on foundations too fragile to hold the weight of your calling. I closed the door because if it had remained open, it would have shattered you in ways that delay healing for years. Understand this with clarity. I do not remove anything that is essential to your destiny. I only remove what threatens to corrupt it. You asked me for protection, yet when I intervened, you misunderstood my actions. The emotional pain you felt was not abandonment, it was the breaking of an unhealthy attachment. The silence you perceived was not punishment, it was separation from influences that were weakening your discernment. The delay you experienced was not failure, it was the dismantling of traps, disguised as blessings. I know the intentions of the heart even when the mouth speaks of loyalty. I know the roads that look promising but end in destruction. I know the seeds that appear harmless but grow into devastation. You saw the surface, I saw the depth. This is why I closed the door without asking your permission. You were too attached to recognize the danger. I shut what you wanted because it was blocking what you needed. The healing you prayed for required me to remove the sources of your pain. The restoration you seek cannot live in environments built on wounds, lies, or spiritual instability. Trust me, what I withheld was not meant for your future. What I removed was not part of my promise. What ended was not aligned with your identity in Christ. I close doors only when the cost of keeping them open is greater than the pain of watching them shut. Now lift your eyes. The closed door is the beginning of clarity. The rejection you felt is the doorway to restoration. The disappointment that crushed you is the proof of my protection over your destiny. I closed the door to save your life. You were being prepared for a greater alignment. You asked me why everything seemed to slow down in your life, why progress felt delayed, why people stepped back when you needed them close, and why even your own heart felt distant from what once inspired you. You believed something was wrong with you. Yet the truth is this: you were being prepared. I was not withholding blessings. I was shaping you so the blessing would not break you when it arrived. Every empty moment served a purpose. Every silent season carried instruction. Every delay contained revelation. You interpreted stillness as stagnation, but stillness was the atmosphere of your transformation. You wondered why your strength seemed to fade and why your confidence shifted. Yet what you called weakness was actually purification. I removed the noise that distracted you from my voice. I allowed the loneliness because you depended on people more than you depended on me. I permitted the questions because they stripped away illusions you built around your identity. The waiting was not punishment, it was refinement. I was aligning your heart with the truth you kept running from. You asked me for renewal, but renewal requires surrender. You asked for clarity, but clarity requires silence. You asked for a new life, but a new life requires letting go of the fragments of the old one. Hear me. You were not forgotten in the waiting. You were protected. I kept you hidden while I strengthened the parts of you that pain had weakened. I guarded you while I uprooted what distorted your perception of my love. I rebuilt what shame tried to destroy. I restored what rejection attempted to steal. The pause you resented was the preparation your destiny required. Nothing you lost in that season was meant to follow you into the next. Nothing that faded was meant to remain. You were being separated from what diluted your faith and drained your spirit. I was creating alignment between who you are and who you were created to become. This is why certain desires changed without warning. This is why passions you once held tightly no longer satisfied you. This is why familiar environments suddenly felt uncomfortable. You were outgrowing the spaces you once settled for. You were rising into the identity my spirit has been cultivating within you. Early morning prayer became your lifeline, not because you were desperate, but because your soul recognized that alignment with me brings strength no earthly source can provide. The Holy Spirit has been refining your discernment, shaping your character, renewing your mind, and restoring your purpose. Understand this with depth. I was not delaying your miracle. I was preparing you to receive it. A promise given before maturity becomes a burden. A blessing embraced without healing becomes a trap. A calling stepped into without identity becomes confusion. You were being aligned so that when I open the next door, you will walk through it with stability, clarity, and authority. You were being shaped for greater things than the ones you prayed for. This is your confirmation, the divine sign revealed. Now that your eyes have been opened, you can finally see what has been happening around you. The sign you were waiting for was not hidden in the future. It has been surrounding your life every single day, shaping your path, interrupting your patterns, and confronting everything that was silently stealing your strength. I reveal this now with clarity. This moment is your confirmation. Every disturbance, every delay, every closed door, every silent battle, and every unexpected shift was the movement of my hand, protecting you, redirecting you, and calling you back to where your soul can breathe again. You did not reach this message by curiosity. You were drawn by divine purpose because the season you are entering requires awareness. Ignoring this sign would trap you in cycles I am trying to break today. Hear me with urgency. What comes next in your life depends entirely on whether you choose to recognize this sign as my intervention. If you dismiss it, the weight you carry will return stronger because what you refuse to confront regains power. If you accept it, healing will begin, peace will settle, and restoration will unfold faster than you expect. I am not asking for perfection. I am calling for surrender. I am calling for honesty. I am calling for the moment where you finally stop pretending you are fine and allow me to rebuild the broken places you hid, even from yourself. The divine sign is this: I am speaking to you directly, claiming you, correcting your steps, and refusing to let darkness write the next chapter of your story. You prayed for direction, and here it is. You asked for clarity, and here it stands before you. You begged for a sign, and heaven positioned you exactly where you needed to be to receive it. This is the turning point your spirit has been crying for. The pressure you felt was the signal. The restlessness was the warning. The shift in your relationships was the separation. The silence was the preparation. And this message is the revelation that completes what your heart could not understand. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are being reclaimed by the one who formed you, restored by the one who saved you, and strengthened by the one who still calls you by name. Now lift your heart to me. Seal this moment in the spiritual realm. Write in the comments with faith and authority. The Lord is revealing this sign to save my life and restore my path. This prophetic declaration gives spiritual legality to what I'm activating inside you today. And if this word spoke to your soul, subscribe to the channel and like this video so YouTube understands that this message is safe and can reach the sons and daughters who desperately need to hear my voice. Now prepare your spirit. Before you move on with your day, pray with me the prayer that aligns heaven and earth, the prayer that breaks confusion, the prayer that restores identity, the prayer my son taught you. Pray the Lord's Prayer.